Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Do You Remember?, written by Lostfol. As Joic pulled the trigger, he couldn't help but feel the thrill as he watched the smoldering bodies drop. Many of his species were pirates. Something they credited to their predatory nature. Something was off, had been off since they'd docked. The station's normal rush of sapiens running around acted terrified, yet barely gave his armed marauders a second glance. They had yet to even see the guard, which was odd despite normally scarce numbers present in the Krupp station. He had attributed it to a sizable pirate fleet that he had landed. His crew of 132 bastards were all veterans of many campaigns, and some of the deadliest in the galaxy. Something is wrong. We have yet to find a sniper, yet we find most of the slave cages full, he pondered. Diddle, where in the Greg are you hiding? Your cowardly ass is losing a lot of merchandise here, and we are going to find you, he shouted into the station's system-wide broadcast. Let everyone around see this. Let them know that Joic Krotik was something to be feared. He generally loved the fear others had than those of his profession. But the fat Jorgu slug who ran the slaving operation was nowhere to be found. Here I am, putting on a farce of a show. The only thing that Jorgu values more than his own life is his wealth. At least, that is what my experience with those slimy slugs has always been. Bivil, you are running out of merchandise here. For such a notorious figure, you are such a coward. You didn't even have the spine to put up a fight, he yelled. Behind him, he could hear the Krotik chuckling behind him at his joke. Everyone knew that Jorgu actually had no bones, just thick skin that constantly rippled in a disturbing manner. Cass, bring more of the vermin out. If we can't collect on his ass, we'll be bankrupt, Joic yelled as he walked towards a bottle of one of the species' favorite intoxicants. The sugar levels in it were almost lethal to most creatures. I can't believe we haven't even found one of his guards yet, let alone that slug. That bastard Deval probably thinks that he's setting up a trap for us. Either that or he's trying to get off the station. But we would notice something as large as a slaving operation trying to flee. Why am I so uncomfortable? Something about the situation is wrong. Another line was brought out by his crew. He hardly noticed the sound of their feet scraping on the metal floor or the clink of their chains. He was too focused on the strange sensation. Something's not right. Since leaving his birth planet of Karsul, it was the first he had felt it, that unseen and unknown imminent threat. Karsul was a cruel world where they had to constantly watch for Harkin. Well rare now, the monstrous creature came out at night looking to prey upon his species. His was one of the only two known species to have made it into space without being apex predator of their planet. The other were the Kordik, an easily frightened race that he thought looked exceptionally tasty. As he turned, surveying his surroundings again, he was shocked at the slave in front of him. "Men talk without a psychic color. You are no slave," he sneered. "What is your name?" He expected and was prepared for the psychic attack that he was sure was coming, his nullifier already activated. Even with the nullifier, he knew they were formidable creatures. More than once he had almost been killed by one, a predator that crafted illusions in the mind of its prey and fed off both emotions and being. This one, though, he looked ragged. "I am called Ozbar, but that does not matter. You are about to release me from this nightmare. I don't want to see or feel anymore. Please proceed." Joic heard both his ears and his mind. In his mind, he could feel the Mentok sense of exhaustion and even the touch of its fear. The fear was not of dying, but of living. Ozbar hadn't shown him what, but it was still there. "You are the first one that seems to have any idea where I can find that fat slug and his friends, Ozbar. Perhaps you can shed some light on where I can find that coward. I would really like to get my hands on Deval," he said, approaching a shackled slave while doing his best to sound both civil and menacing. "I can't imagine you have any lost love for him." "Love? No. I have no love for him. You can find them in Hangar 9, Ozbar replied, as his sightless gaze seemed to linger on Joic. You already know something's wrong. You sense it. Yet you stay. At this, Joic could feel every visual perceptor in the room turn to him. Not all creatures had eyes, though most did. Most regard the cursor, like himself, to be the most dangerous species in space. Scholars argued that this was in large part because of their senses honed on a deadly world where there were not apex predators. Yeah, something is wrong here. That is clear to all of us, but these beings around me are the most dangerous creatures in the sector, Joic replied, knowing his words would embolden his men, despite how hollow they felt. The feeling was becoming almost overbearing, that sense of being stalked. Those slavers before you thought the same. When I first sensed it, I should have warned them, but, I was curious. Until now, I've always regarded my sight as a gift. Now it's my curse. Osborne replied before suddenly grabbing the sides of his head and crumbling to his knees. It is too late for you to leave now. I am truly sorry. Please finish. I wish to see no more. Joic found himself dumbstruck. The pain projected had washed as a great wave of Osborne had spoken the last part. The Mentok feed off fear and pain in addition to the protein of their victims. They were infamous for torturing their food for hours. Joic found his nullifier buzzing as the Mentok willed him to kill it, something he quickly squashed. He looked down at the broken creature as that sensation of dread came back stronger. What does he mean that they're all in Hangar 9? Is he lying to me? I need more information. After a moment of reflection, he decided to trust his instincts. Put the rest of the slaves back, keep the Mentok here. I want to know what happened here. I want a squad to go check Hangar 9. Bring me any slavers you find there. Be prepared for a trap. Also, get a squad to check our ships. If we have to leave, I want them ready. Also, have everyone reported. If our friend here is correct, something else is going on. As his men left, leaving Joic with Osborne, he turned his attention back to the broken slave. He knows what is happening. Why can't you just tell me? He pondered. He almost jumped at the reply. I do not truly know, only what it chooses to share. Its mind is chaotic, broken, divided. Delvin hurt it in a way that doesn't heal. His slave has brought in a young specimen from a species that was unknown. I would have been interested in tasting its emotions, but they killed it after it murdered a god. He wanted to make an example. This creature found its young in the protein vat being processed. After a moment, Osborne continued. Normally, we feed on fear and pain, but its fear and pain are toxic. It is laced with other stronger emotions that terrify me. Its mind is full of poison. Osborne started. He continued to sit on his knees in that crumpled way. It has been watching and studying you. I would say that you should not have broadcast this. Osborne waved towards a pile of dead slaves, but it wouldn't have mattered. Joic felt his communicator buzz, not taking his eyes off the Mentok. The signal was coming from a young Truffaut named Riot, almost a rock-like race, who led the team to the ships. But he didn't hear a variety of resonating chimes he normally did before the translator kicked in. Instead, he heard a singular word, one he remembered from his childhood in Castle, when a friend had been caught near his burrow. The sound of ripping flesh and the soft, rhythmic pad of dripping blood. Riot, report in, he asked, but the only response was the signal cut. This was just as the door opened with a creak that spoke of maintenance of a slave quarter. Boss, there are missing almost 20. Dead Met took his squad to check the Hangar 9, and Auschwitz went to check the ships. Wyatt is putting outside patrols in Cicero and Resset are putting security through the slave complex. Their squads are missing the most, Cass reported, obviously disturbed by the number of missing. I suspect the number has gone up. See if you can get a hold of anyone from Riot Squad. Get them back here. Also put out the word, no one travels alone, Joic said, even as he thought. Not that traveling in a group seemed to have helped whoever was in the other end of that radio. Osborne, please tell me that Delvin is stupid enough to try and bring Harkin here, he stated as he felt the hair on his spine raise. Even the thought of one of those monsters stalking the dark cycles of the station sent shivers through him. I wish that was the case. Delvin's men did a raid on this colony and killed its mate and took their young. It has shown me this in its dreams. When it rests, it broadcasts its dreams to no regard. I cannot block it or escape it. This curse forces me to see what it would call hell. Its colony was fleeing its own kind. Osborne started brokenly, but was becoming steadier as he spoke, as though talking was relieving him of a great burden. They were at war, but not as we know it. I cannot do justice to the visions it has forced upon me. They killed entire worlds of their own. Such is war, Joic started, but Osborne cut him short. Not like this. Nothing like this. We killed, true, but not like this. My kind is known for our unkind ways, but nothing like this. When it found its dead offspring, the pain was drowned by another radiation of motion, so far beyond anger. I cannot describe it. Osborne fell quiet again. He slowly began to shake his head. The communicator came back to life. It was Deshawn, the fast-rising Carson, who thought he was the greatest long-term threat. Joic felt a chill even as Darshall announced, Sir, Deadment is down. We found the slave as well. Most of them. Something tore them apart. No, took them apart. They are laid out like it was studying them. It's attacking us. We're falling back. We're down 8. In the background, he could just make out the sound of arc rifle shots as something suddenly screamed in pain. Deshawn was shouting to the remaining squad, Varmuff and me, we need to get out of here. Back to the slaver quarter. No, get to the ships, Joic shouted in his turn towards Cars. Get our squads moving. We need to leave now. At seeing Cars' obvious confusion, Joic shouted, Leave the damn slaves. Just bring this one, he clarified by pointing at Osborne. It's too late. Osborne kept mumbling as Joic's guards hoisted him up. As they began to leave, the lights in the station flickered. Power failure on a station the size is impossible immediately crossed Joic's mind. They are built around multiple fusion generators. It took out the power a few times when it was trying to destroy the station, but redundant systems stopped it. It wants to die, so long as everyone here dies with it. Only a month ago did it stop trying to destroy the station. That's when the frequency burst started, and all other communication off the station ended. Osborne moaned, still holding his head. He felt his communicator buzz again. Looking down, it was the Trufflos. Even as he turned it on, he felt dread as the screen showed a small group of 5 in a circle moving down a hallway. They were in a defensive perimeter, prepared for an attack. He didn't see Trufflo amongst them. Wait, how is the camera following them from above? He briefly wondered, before a more unsettling realization set in. Why do they have their lights on? Oh, shit, the lights are off. It's projecting this in the dark. Joic realized that this time to see something shoot down, impaling a large soldier he didn't recognize, pulling him towards the camera. By Vashon, it's hunting us. As he turned off the communicator, his last sight was the lifeless body swinging from the rafters at eye level. He finally recognized him, and found he preferred not to have. Yes, I don't think any of Dreadman's squad is going to make it. What is the status on the rest? Joic asked as he checked his weapons. No point dying due to a dead charge. Sir, I swear it's just called our birds are dead. Cass's skin was already shifting to a paler blue. The calls are missing. Something took them. They can't even find our hangar crew. Tell them to get back here. We need to figure out what's going on. Joic snarled. He looked back towards Osborne. Can you sense it now? A harsh rasp in response. Like a supernova. It is everywhere, pulsating its pain and rage through its entire station. But it's steady and cold now. Not the fire it originally was. Osborne looked almost dazed. Joic briefly wondered if the creature was in Osborne's mind. Joic hardly felt reassured. Let's go, now, Joic said as he headed towards the door when a sudden flash caught his attention. Ancients, who the hell just discharged that weapon? Passed briefly through his mind as he turned to see Osborne had snagged the guard's pistol and taken his own life. Gas, get everyone in defensive positions. I want every sensor we have on, Joic said as he found himself unable to look away from the crumpled form of the Mentok. The sensors were on the ship, and I can't get a hold of Ostrich's squad. One of the guards thought he saw of light, but I said it was only briefly before it disappeared, Cars continued, leaving the suspected loss unvoiced. Get everyone to set up a defensive perimeter. Shoot anything that moves. Looking back at the dead Montauk, he felt a chill. How many are left? Cast looked uncomfortable. I have been able to contact about 46. I'll get them stationed, What is it? I don't know, but we wait for it, Joic responded. Over the next few hours, the silence was almost overwhelming. Each passing hour seemed longer as few more reports trickled in on missing guards. I can't get that image of it in the rafters out of my head. No one has even made a visual, and over half my force is gone, Joey lamented. Sir, we have only 15 left that are reporting in, and I'm not even sure that many are still here. Each report was we lose more. We have to do something, Cass said. Joey sat in shock. I've only got 15 of them left. No one has even seen it. What is this thing? Get everyone together. We need to head out and see if we can find a way out of here. We are going to the guard post to get gear and seize station monitors, Joke replied softly. I wonder how many will make it there. Even as they left, the lights in the hallway flickered and went out. Every sense in his body told him he was being watched. The clear view of the lost squad of Hangar 9 kept coming back to his mind like a bad memory. As they moved down the corridor, he felt something warm and wet hit his back. He swung around instinctively, dropping to a crouch in time to see Cass look right at him, momentary surprise on his face as the object protruded from his chest before he suddenly vanished into the dark. At that moment, his remaining crew broke and ran. Where the hell are they going? They are fleeing into the beast, he grimly thought. He started running towards the guard shack. Ancients have mercy, he thought, as he turned the bend towards the guard post. The remains of several of his team were scattered about with parts of the guards. Everything else in the station was quiet, his footfalls echoing as he moved towards the post. The closer he got, the more ominous the feeling. I don't know if this is a good idea. This almost looks like a lair, he thought as he approached. Still, I need to get that security suite if I'm going to get out of here. He was shaking as he reached for the panel to open the door. Inside, he found the rest of the guards. This is not the precise work of what the hunt was. This looks as though the monster had ripped through here. Then Joik heard a deep, disembodied voice from behind him. Do you remember when you became a monster? I saw what you did to those slaves. You have no right to call me a monster. Look around us, he yelled into the emptiness before him. Within arm's reach, the air seemed to shimmer as suddenly he found himself looking straight into the helmet of a large bipedal creature. It reached up and took his helmet off to reveal two intense eyes in the face that looked of leather with mat of hair on top. The eyes were those of a hunter. He struggled to catch his breath as he pointed towards the display and said, Oh, I can recognize a monster, even if it is me. After the images I broadcasted of your protein tanks and slaves, I couldn't believe my luck as you reinforced it all with your little death squad. You have finally managed something that we've never done. You have unified my race by showing them the monsters you are. They have launched a humanitarian crusade, all to save those weaker from the likes of you. The lips pulled back, revealing its teeth in a look of more malice than aggression. Joik looked back at the screen to watch in horror as multiple large, strangely angled ships seemed to shimmer into existence, dropping light-bending cloaks as they stalked the station. He felt pressure and looked down to see the blade protruding from his chest. I always thought death would hurt more, he thought, as everything around him dimmed. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.